Welcome to the Positive Pants Podcast. Mindset, motivation, and inspiration to help you find your positive pants. Let go of negative thinking and stop living for the weekend. With your host, Fran Excel.
So welcome to the show. As always, it's Fran Excel Mindset Coach, helping you find your very own pair of positive pants so you can get out of your own way and live a life that you love. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm very grateful you've chosen to put me in your earbuds today. Please do hit the subscribe button so you don't miss anything, and do leave me a review. I love reading them, and it really helps me get found by other people who need to hear what I share. I'd also love you to email me your mindset and productivity questions or topics you'd love me to cover to hello@franexcel.com, because I know a lot of you think I'm inside your heads because you tell me all the time. But if I don't know what you need, I can't give it to you. So let me know. Do you actually know what you want? Sounds like a simple question, right? But do you actually know what you want from your life and from your business? It's really easy to think we know what we want, but when we get there, we realize that things aren't exactly what they're cracked up to be. And we've been basing what we're doing on so many factors, but not really knowing what we want, or actually pinpointing that at all. We're usually very clear on what we don't want, but are we really clear on what we do? What we actually truly want. The irony is that when you focus on what you don't want or don't have yet, then you kind of just get more of that. The stuff you don't want, and more of the thing that you're trying to move away from. Focusing on what you don't want or don't have yet can also get you feeling pretty down in the dumps, especially this time of year. Impatient, negative, frustrated. It's not a great place to dwell in, let's be honest. So, I'm sure you know plenty about what you don't want. Now, for this episode, you may want to grab a journal, but are you actually clear on what you do want? So often we think what we want is just what we think will get us away from what we don't. But that's not actually what we want, not really. Are you still with me? There's lots of do wants and don't wants in this one. So this is why so many businesses can start, but they're based purely on making money, doing something you can do, not necessarily what you really want to do or love to do. It's usually to get out of a job or a situation that you don't want to be in. But then the motivation and the passion for that business quickly goes because the focus isn't in the right place. It's based on trying to move away from what you don't want rather than really creating what you do. Yeah. So as we know, where attention goes, energy flows. So where is your energy and emotion really? It's on what you don't want most of the time, on getting away from this something. And attention, focus, and emotion is a powerhouse combination of creating whatever that is. I've talked about this before, but the brain basically ignores the word don't. So don't think about a green hippopotamus. What popped into your head? Things like when you say to your kids, don't spill your drink, what tends to happen? So when you're saying, I don't want to be poor, I don't want to be in this job anymore, what are you getting more of? Yeah? You're also collecting even more evidence and creating more action to stay exactly where you don't want to be. Your subconscious mind can be seriously pesky when you don't know how to handle it. Right? So then comes the impatience, the procrastination, the lack of motivation, the frustration. And this is a great time of year to really start doing some work around this. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions per se. And I did a previous episode on why I don't think you should set resolutions anyway. Because again, it's a focus on what you don't want, not what you do. I do, however, believe in knowing what you really want and setting goals in a way that actually works for you, to give you focus, a place for your attention, and help you make decisions, among a ton of other reasons. And I've done another episode on how to set goals that actually work for you. So it's a time to look at what didn't work for you in 2019 and ongoing what is and isn't working for you. Yeah, it might be working on paper, as in making money, but is it actually what you want for your life? Think about, what do you want more of? What do you want less of? Yeah. So how do we turn this around when it's so easy to get confused? So knowing the don't wants is actually very helpful because it can really help you find what you do want. For example, you don't want to be in a job because you don't get to spend time with your family. So what you do want is something that is more flexible so you can spend more time with your family. Cool. Then you can explore that. Don't take it to mean, because we attach meaning to everything that we say. So don't take it to mean anything. You can use it almost as a pros and cons, because the obvious answer isn't always the obvious answer. For example, you may think you want a business so you can have the freedom to spend time with your family, but then you end up creating another job, which often takes even more of your time and more of your energy, leaving you less able to switch off. But that's just because you've set it up to move away from what you don't want, rather than setting it up to make sure it's structured around the real thing that you want to create. Make sense? So it may be actually that you'd rather have a combination of a part-time job and a business doing something you love. It really is up to you, and all based around what you want. There is no judgment to be made either way on any of this stuff. It just requires some honesty with yourself. And if you know you want your business to be full-time, what are your non-negotiables in terms of time, money, how you work, who you work with? Really flesh it out in all the finest of details, because not knowing this stuff is how you get nightmare clients. It's how you create courses that don't sell. It's how you create things based on what other people are telling you should do rather than what you want to do. Don't get too caught up, like I say, in being attached to these things, because it's fluid and it will change over time. And often once you try something out, you figure out more of the don't wants along the way, which also means you will figure out more of the do's. And it's so much of it is trial and error. It's okay to change your mind, to pivot, and to think you want something, only to get there and realize it's not as great as you thought it was going to be. Good old behavioral flexibility. Working this stuff out is a good thing, even if working it out is more about, okay, I don't want that, so what do I prefer? It helps you set your boundaries when you have real clarity over what you want. So when you find a don't want, ask yourself what you prefer instead. Clarity on what you want keeps you moving towards it, both consciously and unconsciously, which is the trick. When you are super clear on where it is you're heading, then your brain will start to work with you to be able to get it. Hallelujah. Yeah. So knowing what you want helps you make decisions. When you operate from a place of knowing what you want and where you want to be, it makes the yeses and the no's far more easy. You get laser focused and can identify if something is just going to keep you busy, be a distraction, or actually be one step closer to where you want to get. So something to watch out for is that you take action based on what you believe is possible too. So working out what you want is amazing and a massive, massive step in the right direction. But there may be some work to do on your unconscious beliefs of what's possible. Yeah, your expectations need to align with your beliefs to make them happen. And this is another reason people can set up businesses that they don't actually love, because they're basing it on what they think is possible rather than what they really want. Can you see a pattern? It's the should versus want to in a tussle, and it is easy to confuse them. So always ask yourself why you're doing something. Yeah, the shoulds also get in the way of knowing what you want versus what someone else wants for you and the way you've been programmed. So again, asking yourself the right questions is going to be key. Yeah, clarity helps you distinguish between what's going to get you what you want and what's just going to be a distraction. It may look great on paper, but is it actually the right opportunity for you to get where you're trying to go right now? Yeah, it might be a cool thing to do. It might be, whatever. It's completely up to you. But when you want to get laser focused on what you want and creating what you want, it's important to know the distinction. Clarity also really helps with filtering out the noise. Good old shiny object syndrome too. There is so much available out there to us, but often the shiny objects come from us not actually being clear on what we really want. So we jump from thing to thing to thing, hoping that we find it. And when you know, those things can still be on your radar, but you'll be able to know what to focus on first. For example, taking speaker training, a big speaker training mastermind or course when you haven't actually decided what your business is yet, or Facebook ads course before you've worked out what you're actually selling. All very valuable information, but where's the focus and the priority that will drive you forwards and allow you to actually take action? Because if you start learning about Facebook ads before your business is in a position to be able to use them, that knowledge is going to get lost in the ether of all these lovely courses that we take. So where should the focus be? Yeah, probably on working out what your business is and what you're actually selling, right? So training your brain and your unconscious mind, being super clear on what you want, makes sure you are training, and I've talked about this many, many times, your reticular activating system in your brain to filter out the right opportunities for you, which is where all those weird little synchronicities start to come up, where it essentially acts as your brain's natural spam filter. So a really good example is when you decide there's a car that you want and then you just start seeing it everywhere. There aren't miraculously more of those cars everywhere. You've just trained your brain into what you want it to see. Ta-da! Magic. Like, seriously magic. Science magic. I love it. And just before you go to bed at time is a great time to essentially instruct your unconscious mind with what you want, so it will get to work for you while you sleep. You're in the right brain waves, all of these different things, for it to actually go bypass your conscious mind and into your unconscious. So journal, visualize, listen to hypnosis as you're going to sleep, and feed your brain the right programming for getting what you want. Notice also when you ignore what you want because of excuses or stories you're telling yourself about your abilities or your lack of resources. And episode 100 is a lot more about that. So you can go delve into that. And any of those reasons you're telling yourself you can't have something, those can be challenged, changed, found, dismissed. And while they're there, they will get in the way of your results. So watch where your emotions are, because they really are the fuel to the fire of what you create, the internal fuel for the external creation, so to speak, and where you focus on in your life. So what do you do if you're not 100% sure what you want in the first place? So there's a few things, like back at the beginning of my journey, so years ago, and I still do this to this day. Every year I still go through this process. Create a list of money is no object things that you want. It's also quite fun, but make sure that your focus isn't on the fact that you don't have them yet. Make it a kind of like, look, if it's possible in the world, it's possible for me. It's just fun to play around with. So you can do this in different areas of your life. So relationships, or travel, or just your personal life, your business life, income, all of these different things. Essentially a bucket list of things that you want to do, have, or achieve, essentially. So many people have never done this, and some surprises may come up, but there's no more waiting. We wait for things like bucket lists. We only seem to create these things when something happens that means we're running out of time. We're all running out of time. So why wait? Yeah. You can pick some key ones and use these to create some goals, yearly, monthly, weekly, daily basis, if you like. And imagine how much more you could get done and how much closer you could be to getting everything you want when you know that every day what you're working towards. Yeah. Ask yourself, if you were the most confident person, money and time were no option, were no issue, there were no limitations, there was no fear of judgments, what would you do? Really? And also the other exercise I want you to have a think about is, what is your ideal day? Like, genuinely, from how you start your day, what you do for your lunch, how your morning goes, how your afternoon goes, what you do in the evening. How can you work your life around steps towards that now? What little things can you implement now that you can be grateful for that start to get you that one step closer? And another thing is, if you're really struggling and stuck for what you want to do, and I know there's lots of you that are, I get lots of lovely messages for you, so please keep them coming, because I love it and it helps me shape the content, because this is for you guys at the end of the day. But when you're really unsure about what you want, first of all, go back to what you loved as a kid. Start and have a look there. What did you really, really love before you gave a bleep about what other people think? Don't want Apple to delist my podcast. No swear words here, people. Yeah, experiment. Go pick up some potential hobbies. You know, you'll soon find out what lights a fire in your belly. This could become your business or just simply be your creative outlet. You know, which I said before is so important. When you're running a business, it's so important to have an outlet of something that just gives you pure joy. Yeah, just for the sake of it, just because you love doing it. And also, what you search for these days or talk about in the vicinity of various electronics actually can deliver all the opportunities to get it. I mean, sometimes it's freaking terrifying, let's be honest. And you feel like, don't even want to say her name. Alexa. She even heard that. Gotta talk now. And Facebook are literally in your head, but there she goes. She's asking if I'd like her to whisper back. No. Alexa, quiet. See? But you can feel like these things are inside your head, but it starts to deliver you things on the positive side that you filter out the rubbish fairly quickly and often find the exact thing or person that you need because it's targeted so specifically to your likes and dislikes. So everybody's so kind of anti-advertising because it's so bombarding, but actually a huge amount of incredibly useful things have come my way purely because I know what I want and I talk about it or I search for it or whatever. These things, opportunities then land in my lap, and then it's down to me to work them out. So there's some food for thought here and lovely help from my lovely assistant. Definitely not cutting that out. Whether you thought you knew what you wanted and created a beast that needs to be tamed, or you're still trying to figure out what you want really looks like, the bottom line is if you don't know what you want, how are you ever going to get it? If you're just focusing on where you don't want to be, how are you ever going to get to where you do? You need to know this stuff. It's fundamental. It's critical. So let's make a deal to let go of some of the shoulds, take the focus off the don't wants for 2020, and really shift the focus to what you do want so you can flipping create it. You know, your mind is there, your brain is there to work with you, for you. You just got to teach it to. It's all yours for the taking. So, if you got value from this and you know in your gut that now is the time to step up and start rewiring your thinking and changing things for yourself, then book in a free discovery call so we can work out what needs to happen to get you from where you're at right now to the action-taking success you know you can be. And if you want my eyes and ears on your problems, I work with people one-on-one and through my Proactive Pants Mastermind. So stop waiting for if and when and decide to change things now because you can. And as always, I hope that was helpful. So any questions, just let me know. And as always, I will see you next week. Bye.